Hey, John. Welcome to Podcast Over Coffee Show. We're diving into atomic habits today, focusing on a concept I find incredibly intriguing: habit stacking. It's this idea of linking new habits to existing ones, making it feel less daunting and more achievable.
I couldn't agree more, Raj. Habit stacking has become a staple in my personal productivity toolkit. It aligns perfectly with Clear's emphasis on building systems rather than chasing goals. Remember, he argues that successful people don't necessarily have different goals. It's their systems that set them apart. Habit stacking provides a clear framework, a system for consistently integrating positive changes.
It's about creating a domino effect of good habits. But before we get into the specifics of habit stacking, I want to touch on why this strategy is so effective. It leverages a psychological principle called implementation intentions.
Yes, the power of specificity. Studies have shown that simply deciding when and where you will perform a new habit significantly increases your chances of following through.
Precisely. And habit stacking takes this a step further by connecting your new habit to an existing one, establishing a clear trigger. It's like using your morning coffee ritual as a launch pad for a new meditation practice.
And it's fascinating how Clear connects this concept to the Diderot effect. He tells the story of Denis Diderot, a French philosopher who lived in poverty until Empress Catherine the Great bought his library, gifting him a sudden influx of wealth.
He then indulged in a beautiful scarlet robe, and that's where the dominoes started falling.
Right. It's like the saying, if you give a mouse a cookie, the new robe didn't quite match his other possessions, leading him to upgrade everything. This is the essence of the Diderot effect. One change, one purchase. The stem mids can spark a cascade of desires for more.
And habit stacking brilliantly applies this principle to behavior change. We identify a deeply ingrained habit, something we do effortlessly, and like brushing our teeth or that morning coffee routine, and use it as the foundation for a new habit.
I love the teeth brushing example. It highlights the brilliance of choosing an automatic, almost unconscious behavior as the anchor for something new.
It's about tapping into those automatic processes, those deeply ingrained neural pathways, and building upon them.
Now, even with this clever linking system, we still need to make the new habit itself appealing, right?
Absolutely. Clear introduces the 2-minute rule here, which might seem counterintuitive at first. He argues that any new habit should be scaled down to a 2-minute version. So, if your goal is to run a marathon, the starting point isn't pounding the pavement for miles. It's simply putting on your running shoes.
That seems incredibly simple, almost too simple. But I'm starting to see the logic.
The magic lies in mastering the art of showing up. By consistently taking that initial minuscule action, you're rewiring your brain, building momentum, and making it easier to progress to the next level.
It's like that insightful comparison Clear makes between habits and an entrance ramp to a highway. Those 2 minutes of putting on your shoes become the gateway to a longer walk, which might evolve into a 5K and maybe someday, even that marathon.
And the consistency piece is key here. The more we ritualize those initial steps, the more likely we are to enter a state of deep focus and actually get things done. It sets the stage for those bigger successes down the line.
It's all about removing the resistance, making the starting point so ridiculously easy that you can't help but do it. But how do we ensure we stick to these small actions, especially when life gets busy?
That's where commitment devices come in. These are preemptive strategies designed to make it harder to back out of our good intentions. Clear mentions his friend Nir Eyal, who uses a simple but ingenious trick. He has an outlet timer that automatically shuts off his internet router at 10 p.m. each night. When the internet disappears, it's a clear signal that it's time to wind down and head to bed.
That's brilliant. I'm notorious for getting sucked into late night internet rabbit holes. Maybe I need to adopt that strategy.
It beautifully illustrates how we can manipulate our environment to support our desired behaviors. And Clear delves into this idea further, emphasizing the significant role context plays in shaping our actions. He suggests It's often easier to adopt new habits in a new environment because you're not fighting against familiar cues and triggers.
And he backs this up with a compelling study. Researchers in Great Britain worked with 248 individuals to help them establish better exercise habits. The group that devised a plan for when and where they'd exercise had a remarkable 91% success rate compared to just 35 to 38% in the other groups. That's incredible.
The power of specificity strikes again. It's not enough to have a vague intention to exercise. We need a clear plan, a predefined time and place to make it happen.
And that's where the beauty of habit stacking comes in. Clear offers some really practical formulas that anyone can use. For example, after I pour my cup of coffee each morning, I will meditate for 1 minute. Or after I take off my work shoes, I will immediately change into my workout clothes.
Love those. They're simple, actionable, and don't require a massive overhaul of your routine.
And once we've mastered the basics, the possibilities become endless. We can start to layer habits, creating sequences, and even experiment with different combinations to find what works best for us.
And it's important to remember that habit stacking is a continuous journey, not a destination. It's about constantly refining and adjusting our approach. Clear emphasizes the importance of regularly reflecting on our habits, tracking our progress, and making necessary adjustments along the way.
He even suggests embracing the explore exploit trade-off. This idea comes from foraging theory, where animals need to balance exploring new areas for food with exploiting the resources they've already found.
It's a great analogy for habit formation. We need to dedicate time to experimenting with new habits, exploring different approaches, but also to focusing on and exploiting the habits that are already working for us. Clear suggests a good starting point is dedicating 80 to 90% of our time to exploiting the strategies that are delivering results and 10 to 20% to exploring new options.
I love that. It keeps things interesting and prevents us from getting stuck in a rut.
Absolutely. And it reminds us that personal growth is an ongoing process. We need to stay curious, keep learning, and constantly strive to improve our systems for building better habits. We are at the end of our podcast, John. Thanks for being on the show. Do you have any message for our audience?
I hope you gained some value out of our conversation. Don't forget to like and subscribe our YouTube channel, Podcast Over Coffee, for more such amazing content.